Hey everybody, welcome back to GWN. I am Nock, your host. We're going to talk a little bit about a new event that we're running in the Builder Base Forum. It's the Forum Elite Builder Base Edition. And really all it is a bunch of us have gotten together and joined into a clan at the end of the season here. And we're just pushing. It's the Forum Goat Herd clan. There you can see it in its tag. And I think we're up to about 30 or so members right now. Just people that, we talk on the official forums, forums.supercell.com. And you got some moderators, some game specialists, and other people that just post on a regular basis. We're just in here to see how high we can push as a group with trophies and to learn, kind of go back and forth and teach each other some of the things that we do that really work best for us. I'm in here right now. I'm number 7, and well, let's watch some replays here. I got a few of them. We'll start off with a couple of Bombarians. Bombarian, as a strategy, is pretty straightforward, but you've really got to time it well with your raged barbarians. They serve a couple of purposes. First and foremost, as you can see here, they're distracting the defenses, especially that multi-mortar, so that the bombers can take out the walls. Now, after your bombers take out enough of that outer wall that's up at the top of this base, then you're going to send in some more to take out the second level wall. And that obviously punches a hole into the core, which is where you'll typically find the Builder's Hall itself resides. Now, one of the weaknesses of any raged barbarian, really any ground-based attack, but especially those that rely on raged barbarians, is going to be the crushers. And Bombarian, there's a couple of ways to deal with a crusher. On the one hand, if you can time the barbarians just right so that one sacrificial lamb drops the crusher to the ground and then a whole bunch of them run in to take it out, you can do that. Other times you can send in the battle machine to take it out. And then you get bases like this where they're on opposite sides, and you're better off just sending your barbs elsewhere and letting the battle machine scoop in between and take out the Builder Hall, as you see Holps did here. That works out pretty well. I mean, this is a respectable 74% result. And the reality is that's actually pretty normal for this, and I think most play. On a lot of my videos, I show these replays where it's a 3-star win. That's 100% destruction. And those aren't the norm. I mean, I get a fair number of them, and I think a lot of people do. But the simple fact of the matter is the norm is somewhere between 65 and 75% for the win. And that's what you're going to see on all these videos. I don't think I have anything under or over. Well, I might have one that's 85%, I think, in here. But that's the norm for what you're going to do to win. When I'm out playing, if I get anything less than a 65% 2-star, I expect to lose. And unfortunately, I usually do lose when I get less than a 65% 2-star. Now, this is another common base, a really tough one. I did a video on how to beat this base using Drop Mitch, which we got a couple of Drop Mitch replays coming up as well. In this particular case, Commander Abdul here just comes up from the south end of it, along, I guess, kind of the lower right side, if you will, and does the exact same thing that we saw Holps doing in the other video or other replay with Bombarian. Very standard, works extremely well. You take out the outer walls, use the Rage Barbarians to block your way in, get to the second set of walls, send in everybody, and it works. It just works, and that's what's so consistent and steady about that attack strategy in general. The next two here we have are Drop Mitch. And Drop Mitch, typically you run it with 1 camp of dropships, 2 camps of night witches, and then 2 camps of beta minions. And you can do like Jared does in these two, where you send your beta minions in along with the dropships first, and then you bring in the battle machine and the night witches, or you can invert it. Just kind of depends on the base and how it's laid out, how hard it's going to be to get different things. In this particular case, works out really well. He comes in first with his dropships and his beta minions, and you'll notice he's only got level 8 dropships. It's a lot of people think that you can't use the dropships until they're level 12 or 14, and it's not true. I actually start using my dropships at level 2. I don't use them at level 1 because, to be perfectly honest, I like to have the skeleton burst at the end when they do drop, but at level 2, when you start to get it, they are a very effective tank. they actually have more HP than a Boxer Giant does. So when you think about it, they're kind of the Boxer Giants for air troops. And typically level 10 and below, I'll use them just as a tank in one camp. And that makes it ideally suited for using with Drop Mitch, especially if you've already maxed your beta minions and your Night Witches. I mean, it's double bonus dollars if that's the case. If you can keep those Night Witches alive to the end of the attack, they'll pick up a few extra buildings, especially when you've got, in a case like this, the Night Witch throws a bunch of bats and then she dies. And I mean, not so much this particular one, but the other ones, you'll end up with enough bats to do more damage, take out another building or two sometimes. Second one here, this one's, I think, more suited to anything to do with Mitch, in my opinion. And that's a kind of box-style base. It's got a bunch of compartments to it. When you start compartmentalizing, breaking the base down into different sections like this, where a ground attack would have to break through multiple sections to get to each of these defenses or the other buildings, like, the storages and so forth. This kind of base really is better off being attacked with air than it is with ground. And that's why I say all the time, make sure you have multiple tricks in your trick bag. I would probably come at this one, again, with my usual Minion Drops. But as long as you're coming at it from the air in some capacity, you're going to do just fine. And most of these kind of square bases with the individual compartments that you see in it, as long as you're up in the air, you get your troops up off the ground, you'll do pretty well. Now, taking this from the ground, you want to come in through one of those four corners of the center compartment. And it would be tough. Something that has a little bit of range to it, like, for example, a Sneaky Archer would do well. But just a straight Bombarian is not going to do as well against a base like this, simply because, again, you've got to break through so many walls to do so. So that's why it's usually easier and better to get them up off the ground. Now, our next and final replay here is, of course, a Minion Drops replay. Can't have a GWN episode without Minion Drops. I've seen this base a few times. I can't say that I've ever actually run it myself. I don't see it as a very difficult base to beat. It's kind of a Builders Hall 5 style base with a spiral on it, or a Town Hall 6, talking about the other side of the game, the home village. For the main part, and I've designed a bunch of these and tested them, but for the main part, these spiral bases like this just don't do very well, especially against air. The things that make them work even moderately well against ground are not a factor at all for air attacks. So you hit them with something like a Minion Drops, or even a Drop Mitch for that matter, and the walls, the pattern that's laid down, it has no bearing. It's of no importance to the air troops, obviously, because they just fly right over top of it. Whether it's a bat that's doing it or it's a beta minion, they're just going to go right over and get to the different defenses. And the same happens here. I think that this one ends up at about 70-odd% before he even lets loose the battle machine. And, I mean, to be able to get 65-70% on just a non-hero based attack like, with Minion Drops is great. Yeah, he got it up to 66% in this particular case. Yeah, in goes the battle machine to do cleanup, and battle machine will typically pick up anywhere from 10 to 20%, depending upon just how tough the base is. In this case, we got, 11% out of it, so that's pretty good. So I'm going to keep on covering the forum event over the next few days and throwing up some more of these replays. If you got any comments or questions, go ahead and drop them down below. Hit subscribe, hit like, and I thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. I'll be back in another day or two with another one. Take care and keep on clashing. Bye-bye now.